Welcome back to another wonderful day of Emunah and Bitachon, sharing the concepts of living with Emunah. Batachti, yagel, libi, bishuasecha. We said 2 days ago. I have Bitachon Hashem. I have Bitachon the Chesed Hashem. Yagel, libi, my heart is happy in your salvation. We said there's no in between story. That's the story that I had Bitachon in you Hashem, and therefore yagel, libi, bishuasecha. Then Ashir Hashem. I'm just singing to you Hashem. You just took care of me. I constantly am singing to Hashem because I have bitachon, I have peace of mind. There's no worries at all. Unfortunately, as the world knows, is that the world is Los Angeles and California is reeling from forest fires and terrible story that went on, that the fire just went out of control and burned homes and hundreds of acres. It's terrible. It's horrible. Our hearts are with the people there, and it's hard to fathom. It's like whatever. It was like I was going to sleep last night and I was thinking to myself, like, it's hard to get into bed and go to sleep when so many people are just afraid and scared, and it was getting closer to neighborhoods that we're familiar with, and our hearts and our minds and our tefillah are with everybody there. Everything should be under control, and the damages and the losses should be should be paid back many times over. Mitzvah Hashem by Hashem. But I was thinking of something, I was watching on someone's status, and they had a newscaster saying that they were showing the next neighborhood that the fire was next to, and the neighborhood was untouched, and then the person on the plane was saying, wait, let's see. We see that a balcony of that house and the next neighbor is on fire, and that's unfortunately the way it works, is that if one house catches, then the whole neighborhood. And it looked like the fire was in one location, the main forest fire, and then that whole neighborhood was untouched, except there was a fire on that porch, and I was like, oy vey, that could bring to the next. And it hit me in the concepts of bitachon and emunah. Every spark has an address, meaning we don't understand. Of course, we can't understand the magnitude of the loss, but every ember, every spark, every fire, the Eibishter sent. Part of emunah is understanding that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends everything everywhere where it's supposed to go. There's nothing that happens by chance in this world. The whole side of Emunah and Bitachon is there's nothing happenstance. There's no coincidences. There's no, by chance this happened. Kadosh Baruch Hu said, this has to burn, this doesn't. Right? And I was very moved. I saw a video this morning of the Chabad in Palisade, I think that was the neighborhood. And you see the person, this morning after the fires blew through Palisade and destroyed hundreds and hundreds of homes, thousands of homes, and on the video you hear the person like, oh my gosh, let me check on the shul, let me see, and he's like, you hear him nervous on the video, and he's getting closer, like, oh, it looks like the building is intact, and you hear the relief as he's getting closer, and I saw the building was like almost perfectly intact. It was scorched a little bit on the outside, but the rest of the building was intact, the playground, the trees, the whole, and I was like, Hashem said this stays, and the house next door doesn't. We don't know Hashem's cheshbonos. Part of Emunah is not asking why, because if that shul would not have stood and a different one would have, we don't ask questions. Emunah is living with that belief that Kadosh Baruch Hu is in charge of every single step of that. That's the VaAni batachti, yagel, libi, bishuasecha, which means my heart is happy with the understanding that Kadosh Baruch Hu, you have a master plan. What the plan is, we don't know. We as people have to feel and have to be part and be concerned and worried, and that's really our job. We spoke about it a little bit this morning. We spoke about on one of the other Emunah shiurim was the story with Menashe Melech Yisrael. I remember we spoke about it a while ago. So Menashe Melech Yisrael, so he was an Ovid Avodah Zarah, and then the Goyim captured him. They were going to kill him, and they were about to kill him, and he davened to all his Avodah Zarahs. They didn't respond, and he said, I remember my father said, if you're in tzaras, call out to Hashem. He said, I'll call out to you, Hashem, and if you don't answer, you'll be like the rest of the gods. And all the malachim said, no, that's a chutzpah, that's a disrespect to Hashem. They closed the windows of tefillah, and Hashem dug under the kisei covered, and he brought up the tefillah of Menashe. So Reb Shimshon Pincus in Sha'ar B'Tefillah says, what happened there? What's going on? And why did Hashem bring in the tefillahs? And he says, because if Hashem said, if I don't answer his tefillah, that means that there's an end, there's a gavul a boundary to my Rachmanis. There's no boundary to my Rachmanis. Rachmanis is Ein Sof, Ein Kates. There's no end to Rachmanis. So it means if someone needs Rachmanis, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there. So Hashem brought in His tefillah, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu was mashal. Right? So now, think about it for a moment. When you see destruction, I just want to go back to LA for a second. You see such mass destruction. We sometimes don't understand the Rachmanis. We don't understand the mercy. Where's the mercy? What happened? Why did Hashem do it? And our job is not to understand. Our job is to recognize that Hashem has a master plan. Emunah and Bitachon means that there's a much greater plan than what we could understand. The same way when the Argdayo said, Adain Olam Asher Malach, master of the world, right? The words we know, but he translates, he says, master of the world, Asher Malach that ruled, B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra, before anybody was in the world. And we said this, Rosh Hashanah time. What does it mean? HaKadosh Baruch Hu was the king before anybody was here. How do you have a king over no one? How do you have a king, right? We were discussing yesterday. It just hurts the mind to think what Hashem ruled. And the answer is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the same HaKadosh Baruch Hu that made you, made us, gave us the limitation to not understand what it means Hashem ruled before the world existed. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu also put us into a zone that we don't understand His rachamim when it doesn't look like rachamim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the ultimate merachem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the ultimate merciful. And even if we don't understand, He's the most merciful. I'll end up with a story that I might have said, might have not said. I always say that before a story because I speak here on this platform and I speak in yeshiva, and sometimes I say in yeshiva not here, or here not in yeshiva. So if you've heard it from me, hear it again. Great story. But this story happened in World War II. That one of these very, very chash rabbanim were being beaten by one of the Nazis in Machshamam, and then he pulled him out. The Nazi pulls him and he says, I'm about to shoot you, and if you could tell me you still think you're the chosen people? He's like, yes, we are. He's like, if you could explain to me why you think you're the chosen people, I won't kill you. So this Rav says to him, I'll tell you why. He says, imagine a king needs surgery, and the surgeon comes to the king in the king's palace, and he sets up a sterile room, and he's doing surgery on the king. One of the king's closest people who doesn't know that the king's going to surgery passes that room, looks through the window, and he sees someone cutting open the king. He barges in. He's like, you're cutting the king. The guy's like, I'm fixing the king. I'm doing the best thing for the king ever. He looks bloody. You're right. He needs to do this to be able to get something out of his body so he could live. So this person turns to the Nazi and he says, you know why we're getting beaten? Because we're in surgery now. We're in surgery now. We don't understand the surgery. You don't understand it. You're not the doctor. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the Roifei Neman. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is that king, the ultimate merciful, that the Rebbeinu Shalom is the one that's going to tell us what the proper surgical procedure is. When we see devastation in the world, that's a surgery that we can't understand. What we want to understand is we want to wrap our heads around what we don't understand. We don't understand the surgery. But what we do know is we're heartbroken for them. We're like, Ayvei, they should have the refuah, so to speak. They should have back what they need. They shouldn't be damaged, and they shouldn't need the surgery. But we understand that this Kadosh Baruch Hu is the ultimate merachem. Kadosh Baruch Hu ultimately is the merachem. And on that, we say, Rebbeinu Shalom, we understand that we don't understand. Our hearts are with you, our tefillahs are with you, and may Klal Yisrael see the ultimate geula and not need any more surgeries. Have a wonderful day.